actually worked here. Should be good.
Yeah, we're on.
Hello, gentlemen. We're all here. Sorry about the delay there. Okay, quick update for Sherry, then we'll hand it over to Stefania, who has some questions for us. Thank you for doing this, Stefania. Hello, hello. Haven't seen
Hey guys.
you. Hey, so Sherry, we went to the doctor today. It looks like they're gonna have to go back in. They don't know if it's the size of the stents or what's causing it, but she's had severe pain since her stents were put in, and they're really not quite sure what to do. So she refuses to take any opioids, but at the same time, she just refuses to be sick anymore. So sending energy and healing and prayers and all that stuff. Please just keep it coming. It is somewhat helping. We're just not sure what they're going to do at this point, but hopefully they find an answer and find it soon, because she's just kind of, you know, when you're sick this long, I guess you just don't want to be sick anymore. And, you know, you reach a point where you just kind of go, why am I going through all this? So hopefully there'll be some answers coming soon, but nothing today. So thank you for everybody who did message, anybody who did send emails, and thank you for all your prayers and all the energy you guys keep sending. We really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Stefania, she's wonderfully decided to go ahead and have some questions for us from herself, and then she's taken some of the answers that were sent by email, and she's going to read them to us, and I guess she can select who's going to actually answer them, and we'll just kind of just have to follow her lead. We'll be doing this for about 90 minutes or so. So if you have to go or if something else comes up, please just say bye. Anyway, Stefania, you there?
Yes, hello. Thank you all for being here. So my name is Stefania. I am a conscious connection guide and also root camp coach. And so I have a few questions here for the men who are joining us today. So let's just start right now with the first question. Do you feel needed by your divine feminine, and how does your divine feminine make you feel needed?
Who would like to go on this?
Hi.
Okay, go ahead, Omar.
Right now, I'm in my feelings. I'm being honest. I don't know what to feel right now. I'm just, and do I feel that they, with your question, I don't feel them at all. However, I do know, just like I said, I'm in my feelings right now. I'm disconnected with self at this moment. You understand? I'm human. There's a lot of things.
Omar, what's going on, man?
It's just I'm in my feelings, man. It's just something that I go through once in a while. It's you know, I'm letting my mind wander, but also bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm just letting it run. You know, getting it out the way. Why I said, you know, there's nothing really wrong with me. It's just things is hitting me. Like the ego is coming hard because I'm fighting it. So it's coming hard. And I'm just letting it come. You know, I'm not fighting it. I'm not stopping. I'm just letting it flow. You know, I want you to fight because in the end, I already know what's up. You understand? So get what you got to get out with you out. That's why I say I'm in my feelings right now.
Is it easy to let people you're connected to in when you're feeling like this?
Knowing yes. You know, I say knowing yes because I had a conversation last night. When I was feeling like this, and the person that I be conversating with, she read me. She gave me exactly what I gave her. You understand? So I say no, and then I say yes because I understand where it's coming from. And instead of being the old me and being like, argumentative, I let her speak and let it sink in and let it, okay, yes, you're right. Even though I know it was right, I wanted to be argumentative, but what can I argue about? You understand? About what is real. So I smile. Like, the whole time on the phone, I'm like just smiling because she was reading me my rights. The same rights I read to her when she was going through. You understand? So that's why I said yes and no.
Okay. So Stefani, can you read that question one more time?
Yes. So the question was, do you feel needed by your divine feminine? And if so, how does your feminine make you feel needed?
I don't believe that I've experienced that. Feminine energy and masculine energy, when it comes to needs, me and Sherry have struggled with that for years, because ultimately you're always in a learning process of being able to actually speak what you actually need. But then there's that space where the other person doesn't know how to show up for it because needs weren't really something that we were taught.
Mm.
So what ends up happening is when you first step into that, even the simplest thing of just hearing that the person you're connected to needs you is a challenge, because we live in a world of assumption. You're assuming the other person knows you need them, so they feel like they don't have to say it. What they're not getting is when they feel that they don't have to say it, that is the rejection. So it's always hard for another person to know that the other person doesn't feel needed by them, especially that, feminine energy has to wear a mask of being strong. But then we also have the other myth that's hidden in the background that nobody's paying attention to. Divine father and mother. When you say DF, which one do you mean?
Mm.
Because what's happened is we've taken what was in the Bible and put it into this connection. And then we changed it somehow and decided instead of father, we put feminine there. So what's interesting is more feminine energy is standing in the divine father, waiting for the divine mother. We're backwards. We're not paying attention, but that is absolutely backwards. And until somebody gets it right and says, oh, wipe that out, we need to take care of this, because a lot of people were raised on that belief. We shouldn't be tampering with that, first of all. Second of all, what's that have to do with connection? When do your needs actually matter when it comes to connection? Not just to the other person, but to yourself.
All the time.
I'm glad you spoke up, by the way. Everybody, make sure you send Elmo a whole bunch of love and a whole bunch of energy for his loss. He lost the woman he's connected from. So he's kind of, yes. And her love and his love has been in healing ever since.
That's actually something that I need to speak on and need to be connected to in this space. It's really tough. I have this need to speak, but it's almost like a child waiting for their turn in like the dinner table, almost. But here I know that I'm being listened to. So I lost my mother, but I didn't really lose her. Actually, she's been closer to me after she passed. And that's something I actually knew that would happen, but it's been way deeper than I thought. And yeah, I don't think we ever lose anybody. And she was sick for so long, so I feel you and Sherry, what she's going through.
Tomorrow morning at 9/11 is the anniversary of my mother's death.
Wow.
So it's quite profound that you're here and you showed up today.
I felt like I was on tracks, like I needed to be here. I had to be here.
Yeah.
My mind was trying to wiggle away, but I was firm, like I know where I have to be. I know I have to be here.
Glad you're here. We needed
I'm
you.
glad.
How have you been responding to your connection and her needs for you now? You know, this kind of goes back to the question that Stefania was answering. You know, you needed your mom. We all need our mother.
Yeah.
Whether we know her or not, or are close to her or not, or the openness that you could have there will show up in the openness you can have with your twin flame, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is our mothers have let us get away with so much that we test the theory when it comes to our twin, don't we? You know, we push the envelope to see if they'll still stay or even want to connect with us, right? We push them in that direction to see if they would actually show up for what we need.
Yeah, we do that. But you asked me how have I allowed myself to need her when she's gone, right? Yeah,
how's that showing up with your twin? The loss. Yeah.
It's almost like there's no more assumption, but the assumption turned into openness.
Wow.
It's just the open door. And there's the potential of walking through it at any moment. And, you know, what felt closed before feels now open beyond any closing.
That's exactly what happened with Sherry and I lost my mom. It was like there was this openness. And then it was like, I'm not going to lose another woman I'm connected to.
Yeah.
That's
really strong. That's really strong.
It starts to overtake.
It's like now I know the feeling of like needing and what that means for a man and what it makes a man do. And
what is it making you do?
It's making me become the man I am. Because the man I've been when I've denied everything I need has just been well, I'm not very proud of the things I've done in that disconnection. But the man I am feels the pain that caused those actions, and he seeks to right them.
Have you accepted the way
without leaving anybody?
Have you accepted the way it feels?
I'm working on it.
Did you notice that wasn't a yes? And what have you got to lose by making that a yes right now?
Mm-hmm. There's nothing to lose by connecting.
Yeah. Hi, Clinton.
Oh, hello, Lee.
How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Yeah, let's talk about accepting.
Yeah.
How's connection for you? And could you answer the question on the way Stefania's presented it here is how do you let divine feminine show up for what you need? Do you trust it?
I haven't. Prior to everything that you and I have spoken about over the last over a year now, I didn't know how to. I didn't know. I didn't understand what it was to know what it was what I even needed. And I suppose as a bloke, that's one thing we always struggle with, that every single one of us struggles with, is that we don't know what it is to mean to need, if that makes sense. Like I grew up with the belief that to never need anything, that I didn't need anything. And you know, I've carried that through my entire life. And for me, I came to that point where I thought if I needed anything, I was weak. Because that was, you know, I'm not going to say the culture here, but it's you'd almost say it is like culture here, that if you need something, then you're showing a weakness. So, you know, for me, I always bottled all that shit up and hid it all away and spent my life on what I want, even down to how I chose to love someone. It was never based on what I actually needed. And
How can that be love if your needs weren't there?
that's just it. It wasn't. It
So
was more an idea than actually than what love is. It was just an idea of it. But then when my connection came along, you know, like we've talked about so many times, you know, she flipped everything upside down for me. You know, I didn't know if I was Arthur or Martha. And only spending, you know, countless hours with you in session and on here have I started to believe that it's not even believe, it's know that it's okay to have these needs. But as a bloke, the other side to that is, yeah, I know I have these needs, but then how do I express them? And, you know, as guys, that's one thing we always struggle with. We don't know how to express what we need. And when something like this comes along, we don't know how to be in it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What you said just brought into my body this feeling like, what do you mean we don't know how? Babies know exactly how to express
Sorry?
what they need.
Sorry, say that again.
I mean, babies know exactly what it is like to need and how to express that. And I just felt like, yeah, the body. Like that's always going to show you and tell you what you need.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, and you're right. The body does show it every single time. But, you know, for me as a bloke, I was always in my head.
Yeah.
And as soon as I knew there was something that I needed, my head would take over and say, nah, knock that shit right off now. We're doing this. So that's what I do. And I did it with everything. And to a degree, I'm still doing it. It's still a what would you say it? Well, for simpler terms, there's still this battle that goes on between my head and what my feelings are telling me. My feelings are getting better at saying, hey, shut the fuck up. But
right. Understand.
But it's still going on. And like, you know, it's probably a battle that will rage on for the rest of my life. But I know now what's more important out of the two. You know, it's like how Lee said in the past where, you know, you do get up in your head. But now when I'm starting to get up into my head and I'm starting to think all this shit, I'm just having a giggle at myself or a giggle at my head. But there are still aspects of my head that still wins out. So I understand and I know that the needs are there, but for me, it's, how do I express that? How do I let that emotion, that feeling that I have that's so deep in me, that's coming to the surface? How do I express that? How do I say to the woman that I'm in love with, that I'm connected to, even that I'm connected from? How do I express that? How do I, tell them exactly what I need? And that's something that, I from my experiences and from all the guys that I know, it's something that we always fight with.
Men, Omar, when has a woman ever asked you what you need?
When have a woman ever asked me what I need?
Yep.
Oh, my twin did ask me that.
How could you trust it if you could single out just one person?
Okay, because that's as far as I got back to. It's her,
Right.
last person. But there's a whole list. But I'm just trying to take it back from.
But if you went right directly to your twin and your twin said, what do you need? What did that do to your feelings on the inside? Especially if you needed that a long time ago. Just for somebody to ask you. As men, I don't think we're ever really used to somebody asking us what we need. So when it comes into that space, the space where we could actually be loved, and then what we're saying we need can be honored. I mean, it's really hard to honor needs when we've been dishonoring them for so long. That's a challenge, right?
And it feels like too much to need,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then your judgment gets activated. Or as Clem was pointing out, your reaction to what you start thinking gets most of your energy. Then the next thing you know, they feel like you're not answering them, but you never answered that in yourself.
How about, sorry. I was just going to say, how about when a feminine energy tells you, I need you? How does that make you feel? And how do you accept that?
Amazing. I have to, for me, it wakes something up on the inside. Because for a long time, she didn't tell me that. And I know for, men, we have this thing where we want to feel needed, but we don't know how to ask for that.
Yes.
We really struggle with that. And if we feel like we're some kind of chump, we're some kind of idiot coming to you and saying, hey, I need to know, do you really need me? Because, as men, we know you got plenty of options. So,
well, we feel the same too.
You do. That's interesting. But
oh, shit.
As we step into that, we feel like if we show this, it's going to show up as weak, or it's going to show up as a clinging energy that you don't want. Where in truth, it's just going to make us open up our heart more to you, make us more vulnerable to you, just to know that you need us. And you need that from us as well.
What about because someone did ask in the comments, when the female energy expresses a need, what does it make them feel? Like a need, for example, a need for clear and open communication. Like, does it come off as an expectation? Do you feel burdened by that?
We feel not good enough. As you can see, the men are doing this because when they say clear and open communication, they're telling us what we don't do. So it doesn't really, it actually makes us close up more saying that.
Now, walking on eggshells after that.
Because after that, then we feel like, okay, whatever we're saying isn't doing anything good for you, and we're not understanding. So maybe instead of making it that you need clear and open communication, maybe you should just reach over and grab our hand and say, If you can't talk to me with your words, can you at least just look in my eyes? So you can feel the difference in that, right?
Yeah.
But you want us to speak and have a communication with you that maybe we never developed the words for. So if I could just look in your eyes, maybe if I can look in there, you'll be able to feel something that I need to say, but don't know how to say it. It will come across because I'm not going to close my heart if I'm looking in your eyes.
I have another interesting question that someone just said. Thanks, Lee. But someone said, if you're not good enough for your feminine, why are you good enough for hundreds of other females?
Because other hundreds of females don't look for good enough. They look for a man. They look for a man or a boy or somebody just to be with that they can love and who's able to receive love but not give it. Because you can find a woman who can give love all day long but struggles to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've been that woman.
we attract that because we don't need to let anybody know what we need. I mean, you have to remember, if you grew up in a household where you had a mother who loved you all the time, no matter what you did, you're looking for that. You're looking for somebody who's going to accept that. And the bad part of that is we don't realize we're not receiving love or even giving it back. It's a space where we don't really learn what love is. So we can have relationships like that can last millennia, but we really don't we feel it when it's gone, kind of like what Elmo was talking about earlier. He feels much closer to his mom now, but he also has this openness that he didn't realize he had before because he's feeling all the love she did give to him finally. He wasn't doing that when she was here. Does that sound about accurate, Elmo?
It's true.
So when you love somebody now, you're loving them from the way your mother showed you how she loved you. But now the issue with that is we still don't know how to receive love. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, Clinton and Omar and Elmo, would you say somebody in this connection, as you're a connected man in this moment, do you still try to figure out how you receive love? And what they've done is they've created these love languages that have nothing to do with anything we actually experience when it comes to love. It just doesn't equate. But yet we need to go and follow some kind of uniform book that tells something about love when love has been a feeling this whole time.
Indescribable.
Indescribable. And it's an exchange of energy.
And very obvious as well.
Yeah. But how do you as men receive love in this connection?
Now, to be honest, to be vulnerable, to allow it. Before I wasn't allowing no kind of, I was just going with the motions. So,
I guess when we don't feel good enough, or when we don't feel good enough, we usually attract somebody who doesn't feel good enough too. And then you kind of run into that codependency where you're there for each other in that space of not being good enough. And it sometimes is a very beautiful relationship for the most part, except for when the clinging and the jealousy and the where were you? How come your location's turned off? Why didn't you text me back? And all of the other bullshit that starts to show up. The drama has to follow you when you tell yourself you're not good enough. It's like the open door for all the drama you need that. Oh, Elmo must know about this.
Yeah, I'm wriggling. I'm just moving around here. I was feeling this thing like when I don't feel good enough, I rush in, like I attack. Like I still remember this one time. I was just lounging on the bed, and I just had this like fire burning up my ass, and it was just like I gotta do something. Like I can't just chill here and receive this vibe, this wonderful vibe. I could just receive it by just being still. I had to just attack, and I was trying to steal a kiss from her. She's just like, whew. And she told me this thing that I still hear in my head whenever I try to force anything. And she said, "You can't force it." But I knew what she meant. That it's there, but you can't make it happen.
What did she mean?
That it's right here, but you can't try to make it happen. And you don't need to make it happen because it's right here.
Talking to you guys has made me realize how much I am in my masculine energy.
Well, you're welcome.
Definitely.
Well,
Just as I,
as long as you
just as I just go on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just as I went into my feminine, you noticed that you were in your masculine.
I think that's why we're saying things have gotten crossed, because if you look at what the DM actually stood for, it was divine father and divine mother. And you have a whole bunch of feminine energy claiming to be DF, a divine father, and it forced us into the masculine, into the divine mother. So it's like we messed it up somehow.
Right.
And if you really look at it, the more they're claiming DF, the more masculine they seem to become. It's quite interesting, isn't it? It's like we found a way. We found a way to have a mother and a father all in one, but we get pretty much our father when we're trying to have this connection with the person we're with. It's surreal. And especially if you look at even the behaviors you actually exerted to them in the beginning, you actually push them away. Think about it, like your father did you.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. Well, I'm in my DF. Well, yes, you are. You're your divine father, not your divine feminine, because there is no such thing. The Bible spelled it out: divine father, divine mother. And then when we said DF, divine feminine, we just totally ripped a page out of the book and said, that's what that meant. And you want to be the provider. You want to make sure that you see, we don't even see it. You don't need anyone in your DF because you're the one who's in charge of all. You're the one that everybody looks to. You're the one that provides for everyone. So where does that leave the DM? I mean, we're talking about feminine energy. We're talking about a mother's rights, a mother's love. Totally discarded. What did your mother teach you about being loved, then?
For me, it was, you are the provider, you are the protector, you provide security. That's what it was for me. Because that's what she was for me. And that's what I learned.
So how did that connect to your feelings?
It didn't.
So then when you attract a feminine energy, your feelings can't be included.
No.
So when they're standing in this, if they're standing in this divine energy of feminine, what were we taught? We were taught that they could accept our feelings, or they're going to, we don't need your feelings.
They don't need.
There it is. Yeah, all of us men are doing this right now. And the women are going, holy shit. Yeah, keep standing in the divine feminine, which actually is divine father. And it literally does this. There's not an accepting energy there because we've taken something and have tried to mold it into something that it was never there for. This is connection. It doesn't play by those rules. But once we incorporate those rules into the connection, we've made it a total disaster because it's just a big mess. How do you love a big mess is a better question. I think the messier it is, the more you can love, the better you'll feel.
Are we ready for another question?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Okay, so why do men often choose a way or path in disconnection which is easier, even though they feel that deep love? So I'm guessing it's about maybe choosing someone else or choosing not to be with their feminine. Why do they choose an easier way?
Oh
Or
yeah,
option?
I can go for this. I can go for this. It's actually where my like main wound is. Yeah, actually it happened way before I did anything to like this person. It happened when I was a kid. I mean, it comes back to the not being good enough thing, and then choosing the gutter, sort of, and then staying there, even though the path that is not easy, or like in the context of this question, is open, but you still choose to sort of fold and to just this is how I experienced it. I'm feeling this wall come up, like I can't talk about this. I don't know if you feel this as well.
Yeah. You know what that wall is, right?
Yeah, but I'm afraid to say it. It's got to do with sex heavily. It's a thing I just
What is easy about a relationship for a man?
relationship is easy. It's just a set of rules that you can learn and can follow and can succeed in. It's like a game, and I did my best to learn this game and I played it, but it was never love. And the love was the grand prize, that you play the game for. But it's a rigged game, and you don't see that the grand prize is not in the game table at all.
What are you gonna say, Omar? I feel you.
Nah, me personally, I feel what Elmo's saying. It's like a game, but for me, I just didn't care. It was like a game. Like I didn't care because I wasn't connected. You understand? So to be with different women or go to the easier thing is I didn't care one way or the other how I treated them or how they felt. So it was just like it was a conquer thing with me. It was just like, can I get it? Okay, I got it. Now move on. It wasn't basically I wasn't connected to really none of them because I wasn't connected to myself. That's how I look at it now. And when she had asked that question, that's the first thing that popped in my head. It was just like a game. It was like I didn't care. So it was easy for me to get the easy ones and just move on because the easier ones is easier. It's easy to get and easier to discharge. Bye. You understand? It wasn't nothing that I couldn't. It wasn't. How can I say? It was basically when I dealt with them, it was easier for me to hide my emotions or how I felt, so I wouldn't care. So I put it in as in a game. Let me see how many can I get this thing. I was being a boy and I wasn't being connected to self. because in this frame, I have hurt a lot of souls by doing the things I did. But the easy way to say it is, it was easy to get rid of them. It's easy come, easy go. It wasn't nothing that I was connected to hold on or to allow somebody to hold on to me. So just like my girl right here trying to hold on to me. Boy, this one right here. You know what I'm talking about, my little baby, my dog. She always want to be in these meetings, but it was easy. It's like a game to me. I wasn't connected to myself, and I wasn't trying to get connected with nobody.
So would you say the answer is it's easier to be with somebody you can't be without than it is easier to be with somebody you can be without?
Say that again?
It's like it is easier to be with somebody you can be without.
Yes, it is.
Because if you come into this connection, you start feeling like you have to be all of these other things to this other person you've never been to yourself. And it's going to be easier to keep that facade going a lot longer than it is to realize that you're just lying to yourself anyway. It's easier to be with somebody who's just going to be there. They don't need you to change. They don't need you to show up. They don't need you to be anything different. They accept you just the way you are. Versus somebody that when you're with them and connected to them, it seems to be that they have a real issue accepting you. They do. When you're connected to somebody, how do you feel accepted?
When you are in your depth.
And how often does that happen to a man? I knew he was gonna make that noise. He was like,
Scott.
right.
Yeah.
It's impossible. If I'm in my depth, then they think, oh, he's well ahead of me. And it's not a game. This is not a game.
No.
But it starts to turn into one. And you don't want the game. You want somebody who's going to connect to you and accept you just as you are. And accept that you're not going to be the same person they're connected to now that you will be later on. Because one of the hardest parts of this connection is when you start to grow. Once you actually connect back to your true self, you change the trajectory of how you were growing. You don't show up the same. It's like a part of you that you didn't know that you weren't accepting is now being accepted, and you start to grow. Yeah. Now, is that easier to stay away from that with another person? Absolutely. It's cool to be with somebody who's going to love you, and you don't have to grow and fully accept. Right.
Real growth for me started happening only when I accepted being alone and not looking for anybody to just be here, just like not going back to that wound of being able to separate love and sex.
Yeah. Are you alone when you have sex? Are you alone when you have sex?
What? What?
You got it, Omar. Right.
Am I alone? Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it's like you can share yourself with somebody you're connected to, and they can be a part of it. But it's almost like it's easier to be with them because there won't be that emotional connection piece. There won't be that feeling connection. It'll be based in just one actual space. That's called alone, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, now I got it.
So if you look at it, it is easier to have that. But what's interesting is we learned that from women, didn't we? They tell us that sex to them is very mindless. They don't think about anything. They have no dreams or aspirations. There's nothing that triggers them into that response, is what we were told. So what are you sharing with them when you're connected? Good breath.
Oh, that's deep. Now we're getting somewhere.
well, we can't heal until we talk about the truth.
Mhm.
You know, and we've all been taught so many different things about each other that we're afraid to learn something new about each other
Oh,
because
yeah.
we've been taught so much about each other. So it's almost like we still have to stick with what we were taught instead of learning something new. If the ideal in our minds as men in connection is, if you look at all the things that are out there about this woman that you're connected to, and then you go and you physically sit with the one you're connected to, how many boxes can you check according to what they're telling you they should be?
No, it just all catches flame and
It's like none of the boxes can be checked. Right? It's like,
No.
no, it says they should be this divine. And you get over there and you're like, there's nothing divine about you. It's not a judgment as much as it is the truth. That would be like saying your mother did everything right by you. She was there for all of your feelings, right? Both of us have a mother, all of us have a mother who was there for everything we ever felt. They never told us to stuff something down. They never told us that what we were feeling was incorrect. Did that ever happen for you? So then we meet this person we're connected to, and they try to come with that, what we call BS. And it just makes us go, no, I'm not buying it. Where's the real you? Right? We're waiting for it. Because I know that if I'm looking in the mirror, I'm looking for what's going to connect to me based on what I believed in myself, not what somebody told them I would be. You know, when you were growing up, did you guys all see Prince Charming come rolling in? And he was like this pristine guy, you know, had this great back childhood. You could tell he was groomed by both of his mom and dad loved him greatly. And he shows up for this woman who's in trouble. Where does that happen in real life, as far as you know?
You just described basically the number one expectation on the twin flame journey is that your masculine is going to come in and save you, make you happy, heal you, complete you.
Isn't it the other way around?
Right? Is it the woman supposed to come in and save me? I mean,
Yeah.
I know in our connection, Sherry did save me. So maybe that's the big thing, is we're not paying attention to what actually did save each other. Was she saved me before I saved her now. She saved me before. You see what I'm saying? It's like you weave in and out of that.
But in order to save you, she had to also save herself some way, somehow. Like she had to be connected to her to, you know.
Well, she had to really sit with herself while she was suffering. I mean, you're not going to sit with the person you're connected to if you've never done that for yourself.
Right.
So what do you want out of this connection if you've never done that?
You need yourself.
Well, what if you're so busy practicing suffering, you don't even understand that self to begin with, let alone want a connection with that self?
Well, you keep hurting.
That's where comes the obsession.
What is obsession to you, Clinton? What is obsession?
It's a God, that's difficult to answer. It's a belief and a need. And notice I said belief. Where we think that we can't do without something. We do everything that we think we can to make that obsession, bring it into fruition. And not caring about what damage we cause along the way. It's about the.
I think
Is that right? Is it,
that,
yeah.
that feels correct. The only thing I would add to it is,
Yeah,
we obsess about things we're not really truly telling the truth about what we're actually obsessing. So
Right.
obsession to me is you want something you know you can't have,
yeah,
That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
right? So not only do you want something you can't have, you're the reason you can't have it.
Mm.
That's why it turns into obsession.
Mm.
Because if the person did, let's say you're obsessed with a person and they turn around and said, okay, I'll be with you. You'd have a deer in the headlights look like,
yeah.
no, you're going to have to tell me no on that because I need to chase you. I need to torment you. I need to call you. I need to be completely all over you because if you choose me, you're choosing a me that nobody ever wanted.
Mm. And that's when, like from, I'll say personal experiences, that's when the obsession would come to, oh yeah, nah, I don't want you now.
Right.
Once that initial chase was done and you'd got to that point where, you'd got whatever it was, whether it's a person or, your dream car or whatever the hell it was. When you got to that point of the obsession becoming into fruition, it then it's like,
and that is the moment when you choose the easy path for me. Like that closed the circle of the question. Like that's when you choose the other thing. And
well, it's not even a matter of choosing anything. It's like it's the end of the game. It's like, oh, yeah, game's done now. I can move on.
yeah, and you fold.
Well, but where's the obsession that I know they're not going to choose me, so I'm going to keep chasing them because if they did choose me, I would be who I was meant to
be. Yeah.
Is the obsession really about the person, or is it about really what you've been saying to yourself and need more permission to do it? So you hold that against that person to say that you're not who they're going to choose. You're going to constantly keep yourself in the state of never being connected to because you trust obsession.
Not only that, can I add something? Obsession is basically looking for a fault and wanting to be right. I'm a pro, Lee.
I see what you did there. I felt that. That was like, I got a whole bunch of goosebumps. And my heart was like, it's like, oh, Stefan, gets it.
No, but you know what? Because obsession oftentimes comes with stalking. So stalking, stalking is basically you wanting to be right about them doing something wrong. And you're going to be right about that if that's what you're looking for.
Isn't that amazing? And we don't even catch ourselves when we're doing that.
You know what's so funny?
What's that?
When it's not funny, but it's ironic. That's what I thought I was doing when I got into this connection. Stalking. You understand? Because it wasn't stalking her like, because I can't stalk her because she's in one state and I'm in another, but it was an obsession of me being right about this connection of how I was feeling. And I was like, damn, I was slapping myself in the head because I don't stalk nobody. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, she don't want me, fuck, excuse my language, but F it. She don't want me, she don't want me. There's other people that do, I thought it was an obsession and a stalking situation. That's why I shook my head like, yeah, because that's how I felt. I was stalking somebody that didn't want me, not understanding what I was going through and that I was connected. That was my piece right there. That's all I want to say.
Has it ever been Can you be obsessed with somebody who wants you?
Can I be obsessed with somebody that wants me?
Yeah.
Can I be obsessed with somebody? Can I be obsessed with somebody that wants me?
If you have obsession with someone, can you have it with somebody who wants you?
Yeah.
Explain. How is that actually possible?
How can I be obsessed with somebody that wants me?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
It's just it's a feeling.
Yeah, there is a feeling.
It's-
It's like it's not obsession, but it's like a good obsession.
Right. If you
It's
feel
a
into
feeling.
it.
It's a feeling. It's not a noun or a verb or pronoun. It's a feeling.
Well, what's interesting about the feeling, if you sit in it and go, can I be obsessed with somebody who wants me?
No,
Yeah.
you know why? Because I had to
The
think
answer-
about that because I know a few that wants me and they obsessed and I don't want them. You understand? That's like when things are being said, it's being said and I'm going through it. Like everything is being said that's going through my head is coming out. So could I be obsessed with somebody that wants?
You feel your head. Your head.
I can, yeah. My head is. I'm shaking my head.
Yeah.
No, I can't be
Right.
obsessed. I
Right.
can't.
Right.
I can't.
So what is actually hurting you is you need to keep thinking about somebody who doesn't want you, turns that into obsession. So if you really look at how to heal obsession, we actually just told people how.
Someone who doesn't want you or someone you haven't told your feelings to?
No. Listen, I understand. See, this is where we good, but this is what it is. He asked a question. Can you be obsessed with somebody that don't want you? Basically, what's going on in your head is this person don't want me.
That's
So
it's
you
repeating.
understand? Yes. So that's what makes you go harder. You understand?
Now,
So it's like a lot of people that think they have connections that's in a crazy relationship. I was just talking about this before I got on a thing with this lady I just met. It's just seeing people just come up to me, just want to talk all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden, but I'm just attracting more people and situations. But what it is you gotta when it comes to that obsession or somebody that wants you or you want that they don't want you, that drives you insane and what triggers your ego mind, your mindset. It's not a feeling, it's a mind going at you like, why don't this person want me? Why this, I'm that, I'm good. I'm for this person, I'm the best person for this person, or why this person don't want me. I gotta show them now that they need to have me, or I'm good enough for them. And that's where the obsession and the stalking and the other words that is used and that dynamic comes in.
if you feel that this person doesn't want you, are you embracing the you that has the feeling?
No,
That's how you feel it. It's as simple as that. We just make it really complex
right.
because we're wanting them to choose us when we're not choosing ourselves.
Right.
So the obsession continues because, well, I don't know why I'm obsessed with them. Because, well, do you think about you as much as you think about them?
Right.
What does that have to do with anything? Oh, it has to do with everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the conundrum is that's the cycle, and we're in the cycle, and the obsession isn't really about what you feel about them. It's literally what you don't feel about you.
But yourself.
You won't let yourself feel the way you feel about them to yourself. So what are you expecting them to choose? Oh, well, no, I felt that. Stefania, what other question do you have?
Yeah, I have an interesting one. So I'm gonna need you all to pay attention because there's a little paragraph there. So it says, my twin has perceived that he wasn't able to get me to reach the female climax with him. However, he could make all the other women achieve that, but not me. He doesn't feel like he can satisfy me, even though what is creating confusion for me is that he's the only man my body opens for like no other. He's caught up because he cannot receive the results he wants, although the lovemaking is beyond anything truly comprehensible and seems to just get better every single time. What's up with that? Now he's with someone else, he tells me, because he couldn't satisfy me.
Right. So here's my question. How does she feel about all the women he can't make climax?
How do she know that they're climaxing?
How does she feel about him telling her about all these other women he can make climax? How does she feel about that?
Well, not good, I can tell you that.
Right. So if you focus on that, not good, why would she give him something if he can get it everywhere else? You see, it's almost like the block is actually not coming from him in this space, is it?
Well, Lee, if I can, if I can come into this conversation and actually, because I was that person at one point, I as a woman, I can tell you that if you're closed, the person you actually feel the most connected to, you won't be able to orgasm with, because if your heart is closed, because you're going to be in your head telling yourself a story about why this person isn't choosing you, how they're going to leave you, how they're going to choose someone else, are they sleeping with other people? So I guess this woman is probably feeling like she wasn't good enough, but he's also feeling like he's not good enough. So you have two people who feel like they're not good enough for each other. So I guess the question is for her, well, for you guys, like, what's up with that? Like, how could she have expressed herself better to this person, or how would that make you feel? Like,
Sex is
Okay,
not performance oriented.
yeah,
No,
right.
I believe there's a much bigger thing going on here. And that is, how is she vulnerable to him in any form? Because what we're really asking is, he's able to be completely open in that space and be connecting in that space. So how is she showing up in that space? It's almost like she's putting a lot of pressure on him for her vulnerability in that space.
And probably even on herself, because she's probably wondering, why am I not reaching an orgasm? Why can't I orgasm with him?
Because what happens if she fully immerses herself in her vulnerability and allows that connection in the sexual form? Is she going to know who she is after that? When has she ever had that?
What would make him choose someone else?
Because somebody else is going to fully accept him for how he is and be vulnerable with him in that space, and she selves with him in that space. He's going to be with somebody who's already used to the act of just having sex. But this is connection. Connection and sex are two different things. That's not the same kind of sex.
It's not. Oh my God.
Not even. If you're with somebody you're connected to sexually, it doesn't even feel remotely like sex. Now, in his mind, he's thinking, well, I'm not enough because she's not here for it. And she's over there going, well, he can find just sex with anybody. So if they sat down and actually had to look each other in the eyes and said, are you vulnerable when we go into this connection, when we are touching one another? Do you feel like a part of you is open or closed to me? Without that, they're just asking for this disconnect. They're not even communicating about it. And the disconnect's going to show up in other people, and the other people will be open to connection in that way. And what literally happened to me is probably happening to that man. I literally found that I had a lot more beautiful sex after coming into this connection versus what I didn't have with her, because I didn't know what sex was for until then.
I like what Elmo said though about like sex and performance, because I think a lot of people feel that pressure of having to perform. Like I cannot speak for you men, but I know that on your end it's like, well, I have to make her orgasm, and as women it's like, well, I have to orgasm, and that's why a lot of women lie about orgasms. Like it's like that unspoken thing where it's like, if you don't have an orgasm, then you're a failure, or you know, it wasn't good, when that's not the truth.
Yeah, the best orgasms I've ever had were when it was never the goal and it didn't end, you know, there was no, it just kept going. And when you remove that it has to end ever, that's when it's gonna go deeper, I feel like.
Okay. Can I say this? I'm not even. I've been with my twin sexually. I ain't never come. You understand? So it was never about me reaching that climax.
Because you don't need it to end.
It was me about how she was feeling, and that's one of the things that we got in a conflict about, because she wanted me to feel good, and I was like, long as you're good, I'm good. But at the time when we was discussing that, I didn't understand it was more deeper than that. I didn't have to climax. I was climaxing the whole time. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when, like I say, back in my heydays when I was doing it, it was you get yours, I get mine. I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't trying to perform. I was just trying to get off. So by her feeling that he's not satisfied and he's feeling that she's not satisfied, that's a mind, to me, that's a mind trick on both of their issues, because if you just let go and let it happen, it will happen. If you get out your emotions and go with the feeling and what's going on, you wouldn't be thinking about that, because in this connection, from my experience, it's not even a climax. I'm climaxing the whole time. The experience of being connected, wholly connected in that position, whatever it is that we in, you know what we in. That the whole time, from the beginning to the end, and then even afterwards, I'm still climaxing. So it's not a physical thing that I have to climax, or it's spiritually I'm climaxing because I'm with the person I'm really connected to. That's my point of view. They need to check themselves. They got to get out of their heads. That's my thing. They got to get out of their heads. Each and every one, both of them.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go for another question then. We have over here, which do you make most important to you? Experiencing connection or being knowledgeable of the connection? Are you aware of what the difference is?
Action is all about feeling. I believe a lot more of our knowledge is found in our feelings than we actually do or have the ability to even trust that knowing. I don't need to know anything. As far as my mind is concerned, when it comes to connection, I can't trust it. My feelings know something completely different. I think it has a lot to do with what you've been able to heal in yourself. This is what you start to realize there's so much more. And the more okay you are with not knowing, what your mind wants to tell you about connection, the better off you are. You seem to be a lot more open when you're in your feelings than you are when you're in your head. If that's the only information you're looking for, definitely find that. You find it quite a lot in this connection. You get to choose whether you're going to be in your feelings or you're going to be in your head. Sound about right, Clinton?
Yes, it does. But that's the funny thing, like when I first discovered this, or when it fell on me, my head said to me, dude, you need to look up what this shit is all about. So that's what I did. And I spent ages on the internet just looking up shit. And it wasn't until, and truthfully, it wasn't until I came across K-Moon and you and Sherry that did I realize that everything that the internet and all those other people were telling me was just slightly off the mark. And it wasn't until
you have to look for batshit crazy, then you find this.
Yeah, only at the depth.
That's
Only
it.
at the depth.
As long as you're looking for batshit crazy, you'll stumble across us.
Yeah,
because there's no other way to explain it.
Yeah.
And as long as you start to become okay with being batshit crazy, welcome to connection.
Like what Claire said, when I first, I thought me and my twin was, I'm gonna stop. Me and my connection was soulmates. And going through, I had a few soulmates, and it didn't feel nothing like this. So when I went on the internet, what I've known about myself personally is when I feel something to be true, no matter what somebody else is saying to me, I feel it in my chest. I remember telling you this when we first met, Lee, that everything I feel that is true, that is my truth, I feel it like I'm getting poked in the chest, I get hit in the heart. So a lot of the stuff, when I heard the twin flames, it registered, bam, it hit me. Okay, that's what it is. So let me look up twin flame. A lot of stuff that I was coming across, I'd laugh at it or be funny because a lot of it wasn't hitting. So it didn't make sense to me or to my spirit because my spirit wasn't registering with it. I don't know how I came across Lee and Sherry, but when I did, I just I followed this story. I was like, I see one episode when it was way in. I said, hold on. I got to go back to the beginning and see what they was talking about. And a lot of the things that they went through in their dynamic, I was going through with mine. So I resonated. It was like, okay, damn. And then I started looking at them. I'm like, damn, these people is retarded. This is what I thought. I'm serious because I was like, Sherry crazy. I said, Lee crazy. I said, damn, they went through all this up, damn. And they together now, it's like, damn. me personally, when I was in the beginning of it, because to tell you the truth, I'm only really a year in this dynamic. But I have learned a whole lot because I'm not closed off and I'm being in touch with myself. So I don't even have the urge to look at what you call it, the tariffs and all that other stuff. I have read tariffs for people and come true, things come true. But it's like I just try to stay connected to myself. And to say this, a lot of things that's on the internet, to me, it's just clickbait. They're saying things that people want to hear. And a lot of it's not true. And that's
Oh my.
who said my name?
Yeah, I said your name.
I know, I'm just playing.
Kind of resonated with me, if I can interject here. So the more I learned, the worse it got, because it was kind of overriding my
Right.
inner knowing. It was so fucking beautiful in the beginning when I didn't know nothing. It was just,
yes.
that was it.
Yes.
That was it. And
you was in bliss. It was like paradise.
Yeah, exactly, paradise, and not knowing why and not caring why. It's just perfect. But then you learn more, and it just takes you down, like, I don't know, other people's experiences, or like stories, basically. And I kind of projected a lot of that onto my path, and so much of the journey now has been just like, all right, just into the trash, dude. It doesn't, it's like only listening to my heart. It's the only place where anybody knows anything. And this space I trust, in a way different way. I don't seek for knowledge anymore. I don't need to know.
Oh, but was it the more information you found, the more it put you in your head?
Yeah.
What did that do for your feelings?
I stopped listening to them and started acting crazy.
So you started abandoning your feelings, and then this gave your twin permission to abandon your feelings too?
The same way.
Yeah. What'd you accept about that?
I've always been an information junkie, I can just, open a book, fall asleep on it, and know. But I've also always had a very strong and stubborn inner knowing. If I feel like something, that's it. I'm not going to change my mind. But
Does information lead to connection?
it sort of leads to more safety.
Yeah, but
and not connection.
It was like an instantaneous reaction.
Yeah.
We need to listen to our body, like you were saying earlier.
Yes.
And it's almost impossible if we've been trained to ignore it. Trained to ignore what we need. Trained to ignore what we feel. Trained to ignore what we want.
And trained to respond to questions and prompts in a verbal way only, because it's actually, we're speaking on so many levels.
Not only trained to that response, but trained to abandon our actual body's response.
Yeah.
If you're connected to somebody, what are you teaching them to do if that's what you're doing to you? And I see that so much, right? When I do these 30 minutes, if you've never done a 30-minute with me, you should try it just for shits and giggles. Yeah. Because you come in and I'll ask you, depending on what the internet is doing to you on that day, because it's usually duplicating what you're doing in connection. I'm not telling you how many times people come in to those 30 minutes and their camera doesn't work, their microphone doesn't work. And then I'm like, let me guess, your connection isn't talking to you. and they don't see you. It's like everything is showing up real time. And their body's like, and I'm going, huh. And they're like, no, that's not what's happening. Oh, tell that to your head. That was going like this, right? And it's immediate. You can see that it's so easy to ignore that your body's actually answering the question every time. It's so easy that we all naturally do it. And then we wonder why we all don't have an automatic bullshit detector. Right? Because if you think about it, if I said, well, Clinton, have you reached out to her? Have you told her how you really feel about her?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Go ahead, Stefania.
Yes. Okay, so we have 2 questions left. So the first is, as a DM on your, well, as I don't know, DM, DF, I don't know anymore. But on your twin flame journey, how did you manage connecting to your feelings? Was it difficult, and how were you able to do it? Clinton, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I didn't.
think
That's why I'm here. I didn't at all. I didn't even know how. I knew what I was feeling, but at the same time, I didn't know what I was feeling. And that's why I'm here right now.
Me, I go through it just like I said when I first came on, my ego in the last 2 days just took over. I have allowed it to take over and just let it play the scenarios that I know is not happening, but I allow it to happen because in a way I don't want to fight. It's draining. This is draining because to me it's draining because you're always in a constant battle between your feelings and your thoughts. And your thoughts is always going to come in and try to persuade your feelings that the thoughts is right. And I say that that's the ego. So it's a battle. It's not always easy, and it's not always hard. There's days where I'm just dealing with the now, right now, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, just dealing with the here and now. And there's other days that I'm in between, and like last 2 days is like I'm just all in my head. So in some ways it's easy, some ways it's not, in some ways it's just being, but at the end of the day, I'm always in my feelings. I'm always embracing how I feel. And my body reacts to that in a way that I know that I'm and on a good path to what I'm supposed to be. And that's feeling and being vulnerable. It's just me personally. I'm just tired of being a goddamn alone by myself. Well, I'm not really by myself, but the intimacy and stuff like that, that gets to a person, especially when they had it. And it's like, what is it, crack? They want it. They need it again. They need it in their system. That they try to get that feeling that they're never going to get again. So they keep chasing it. It's something like that. So,
Where have you allowed anybody to be connected to your feelings?
when?
Yeah.
We're going to go through this again. Nah, I haven't.
So Are you expecting your twin to walk up and walk into that wall? Or are you doing anything to change it?
I'm doing things to change it.
Well, you're battling with your ego. Isn't your ego in charge of that at the current moment?
Because I'm allowing it to run. I don't want to fight with it right now. That's like how I say fight with it right now. I'm letting the dialogue play out.
Okay.
The dialogue that's going through my head, I'm just
Right.
letting it play out. Okay.
Okay.
Me
And what-
personally, I know, not my feelings. I know that this is what it is. Just a play out. This is what you want to do. This is the ego. The thought is telling me certain things, or she might be doing this, or this and that and the other. I let it play out, but I also tell myself, really, I'm connected. There's no other way that whatever it may be, I'm still connected to this individual. She's connected to me. You can say what you want to say. She can do what she want to do. I look at it like this right now. It's none of my business because I connected to my feelings for this connection. And by me just letting it play, I'm letting it run itself out because I'm not letting it sink into nothing. I'm just letting it just fly by. Like, thoughts. And then when they finish, okay, you done? Okay. We all know the truth.
Have you ever let somebody be with you when you're connected to yourself?
Yeah. Yes, I have. When I'm connected with myself, yes, I have.
And when your ego kicked in, how long did they stay around?
When my ego kicked in?
Yeah.
Well, that's if I allow my ego to kick in. See, there's a difference because I'm able to shut down my thoughts when it's just right now, just like I said, I'm tired of, this is work.
It makes sense with something Stefania was saying earlier. And if I remember correctly, what she was saying was, as a man, is it easier for you to let somebody love you when you're in your head like this? Is it easier for somebody to connect to you if you're in your head like you've been over the last 2 days? And is this coming up so you can finally heal that, or is this coming up because it's just something you always do? You're muted. You muted yourself, I think. Interesting.
Maybe you ran out.
It's like this universe just shut him up.
Now, I think I ain't gonna say I think it's just that this is my ego's last chance of just trying to control what it is that I used to allow it to control, and it's trying to fight to stay alive, even though it's always there, but it's trying to stay dominant and my universe. You understand? And
But you know who's won. So why not wave the white flag?
Nah, I just like I said, I allowed it to just run, just the thoughts, not it waving the white flag, because the white flag.
No, let it do that.
Yeah, they need to do that, because it's like I said, it's some days I'm good. It's like the thought of just like a thought of coming, I just shut it down quick. And it's just the last couple of days, it's just, be honest, I'm in my feelings. I'm really deep in my feelings. There's nothing I can say other than I'm in my feelings. And me being and my feelings the way I am is allowing these thoughts to run crazy in my head. That's the better way of trying to explain it. That's what it is. I'm in my feelings, and I feel lonely.
I feel you,
You
man.
understand?
I was in there whole weekend. I was afraid this moment will come that I will have to be in this space because I was in that space.
Yeah.
And I felt alone, and I felt like like sort of ashamed, like, oh, I'm in my head, everybody else is connected, and oh shit. But I really appreciate, you just letting it run.
Yeah,
I feel you. I feel you. I go through those same like ups and downs. Like some days I'm on point, and then the days I'm not, I'm just kind of like let it happen because I know it will run out. But there's been this. My feelings have been like, how long are we gonna go up and down? Like you see, this war doesn't really end. They just refuel and come back. When is it gonna really end? When is it gonna be enough? I've been looking for that enough.
what I can say is, me being connected to myself is bringing a whole lot of other connections with other individuals. That is drawn to me being connected. So this journey is an ever learning journey because you learning to unlearn, to learn again, and that's something that you and your thought patterns is going to fight about a lot. Me personally, when I say I just let it run, I don't grasp onto them like I used to. I just let them run as they come. And thank you for sharing. But I think we all go through that.
I fell in love with thinking a long time ago for that very reason. I realized that the more you fall in love with the way you think, the more it changes. I mean, you're not going to change thinking, being against it. That just powers it to stay the same. Didn't you ever notice anytime you fall in love with somebody, it changes? Why not try that with your own thinking?
Lee, there's actually something that you shared when Sherry was really sick, and that really changed my perspective. It opened something in me, and it was that you had to love her disease, or that you had to yeah, I'm not sure in which words you used, if you would mind sharing how you said it, but I really felt that.
I had to fall in love with everything that she was experiencing because I couldn't fight it. And the more I wanted to fight it, the more I realized I was fighting her for it. So here's the thing about connection. It shows you how to heal. Your mind has never been set up to heal anything. Your thinking is there's not been an ego on this planet that's healed anything. Never will be, because healing doesn't have anything to do with thought. When Sherry was sick, I had to fall in love with the cirrhosis. I had to fall in love with the parts of her that were giving up. I had to fall in love with her failing immune system because I could not connect to it without that. How can you have connection if you're not paying attention to what you're doing to connection and what you believe about connection? Do you truly believe you can be connected to? Or are you just creating more fire and more logs for your ego to burn the fire within you and keep you from it? I had to fall in love with everything. And I think the biggest place I was really not wanting to go into was my pain. But would you ever let anybody be connected to you if you're not connected to the you inside of your pain? Man or woman makes no difference.
Or pet. Because me and this baby is connected.
Um, what was the other last question? I think we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah. We had, what happens before meeting our twin? What draws them to us? Did anyone else feel a shift or a strong desire to feel whole again before they appeared?
I go first on this one. With me, I have known my twin for a long, long time. However, for the connection to establish itself, I had gave up on love, period. I just got out of a 10-year relationship, and I thought I was doing everything that I never did before in a relationship. That was being faithful, being truthful, staying home, all the other stuff that we look for in the relationship. And I got shitted on 10 years. I allowed things to happen that I would never allow to happen because I wanted to be in that relationship. So when I got out of the relationship, my mindset was F love. I'm gonna be a hoe again. I'm just gonna go just enjoy. And during that time, my oldest sister passed. And I got a text messages from my twin talking about it's me. I didn't even know she moved and that she's coming up to the funeral, this and that. Make a long story short, at the repast before she left, something told me to tell her how I really felt about her. Or if I didn't, I'd never see her again. So that in itself, her coming back and me seeing her, talking on the phone was enough, but me seeing her just made me connect to her. And it's just a love that just sprung up that I thought I had buried. So it wasn't a thing of a bliss of love beforehand. It was of a saying of fucking love. I just closed myself off. So to me, that's when it happened to show me that there was love. And that's why I opened up to me. That's my story.
I've known her all my life as well, and we've weaved together and apart, but every time sort of stronger throughout the years. It's so amazing. The same thing has been as the theme. The same theme. What has brought us together and then ripped us apart, I guess. But the same things throughout the years. I still haven't learned. But I guess there's a shift before you sort of open up to that connection fully, like unconsciously. For me, I was 18. And I just like let go of all my fear, you know. And then we met on a different level. She showed up almost immediately after I let go of my fear.
Clinton?
Shit. For me, yeah, I knew something was up a good 3 or 4 months before. I was due to go away and take part on a course. And for a few months prior to going away, I just had this feeling that something was going to happen. And I was like, I don't want to go now, because I was loving what I was doing, and I didn't want to leave it. But because I had that feeling that something was going to happen, and where I was going and what could have happened, I suppose, I didn't want to go. But in my head, well, I had this little voice that was constantly telling me, "Nah, you made a commitment, you have to go." Even on the day that I was driving down to start this course, I was thinking to myself, how the hell can I get out of this? I don't want to go. And the voice was going, "Nah, you made a commitment to a certain person. You have a lot of respect for this guy, so you have to go through with it." So I got to where I was going. We settled in. We do a week of induction training, and then the day that all these people were due to turn up, they started rolling in. And I had a very specific job that I had to do for this particular day. And one of the boys came over and said to me, "Oh, look, there's quite a few lookers in this lot." And I just said, "Dude, I'm not here for that. I'm here for a very specific job. Just let me get on with it." So he gave me a funny look, and I walked into where all these people were fawning up, and I just happened to look over to my left, and kaboom! And I understood what the feeling was that I'd been having from that very second. So yeah, it does.
Well, I think I had given up. I kept feeling like there'd be somebody out there who would connect to my feelings. And then I think I still had a hint of that still left in me. And then I finally just said, "There's no way." And then all of a sudden she shut up. That's usually how it happens. You give up, any hope of ever finding something. And then, that's why I say hope is the most dangerous thing when it comes to this connection, because it puts everything out of reach. Because once I gave up hope, that's when she showed up.
Yeah.
And then I went, "Oh, I'm not ready for this." I was going, right? I mean, that's what happened. You literally have to give up hope of finding what you know you were meant for. You have to give up the hope.
Yes. Yeah.
I think all of us feel that. We're like, well, I gave up hope, and all of a sudden it showed up. And then I went, "Oh, this isn't happening. This isn't supposed to happen." Well, you gave up hope. Hope is what's kept this connection from everybody. Hope is dangerous. Are you seeing that yet? The more you hope for something, the more you push it out of reach. Tell me that's not what hope is. Yes, Stefania, I know we're out of time. We love you.
I love you too. So have faith instead of hope then?
Believe you can have the connection. Believe in what you feel. Hope that you're going to feel it at some point, or hope that you're going to have it at some point. Hope is the issue. If you notice, every time you move hope out of the way, you receive what you've been looking for. Tell me how that doesn't, have you not seen that in real time? I mean, give up something you've been hoping for, just move hope out of the way and watch. It'll show up and you'll be like, what the hell? As manifestors, as empaths, as spiritual beings on this planet, hope is our kryptonite. I gave up hope a long time ago. Why do you think she's still here?
Connection.
Right. You got to choose connection. You can't choose hope. If I would have chose hope, I'd have lost her. I chose connection. Give up hope. Sorry, I'm not saying that. I mean, a lot of people try to make it sound beautiful. And there's probably a girl or a guy out there named Hope who's what, hey. He's like, no, I'm not trying to talk but what I am saying this, if you look up what the word actually means, it means wanting, it's pushing something or wanting something you can't have.
Obsession, same word.
Hope is the energy that obsession counts on.
Yeah.
If you didn't have hope, you'd have connection.
Thank you, Lee.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for this. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you to all the men who showed up today here and also in the comments and in the collective. I really am grateful. Thank you for being so vulnerable and open. I think that was much needed. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And men, if you'd like to do this in 2 weeks, we'll do it again. I believe there's a whole lot more. I know there's questions we didn't get to. I believe some came actually while we were doing this today. So we'll have those for the next time. And I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. And
My connection to you guys is very important to me.
yes, it is.
It's an honor.
Elmo, we are keeping you in our hearts.
Yes,
Oh,
Thank you so
definitely
much.
in our prayers and definitely, yes.
we'll do a video update soon. We needed to do a Halloween. I mean, everything kind of just backed up because she's just in too much pain. So I didn't push anything. I'm just staying connected.
We're staying connected to you.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely is.
I'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys.
guys.